So a sumo deadlift is different from a conventional deadlift. The deadlift style that I've been doing, the upright, feet inside shoulder width, that is the conventional deadlift. And here I'm practicing a sumo deadlift. There's a number of benefits that I think are that I can potentially see from doing sumo deadlifts. I've never done them before, but just from looking at it, it seems as if the wider stance would allow you to to build strength on your outer hips and um, your lower back as well. And I see that as only like a plus to my training, especially for when it comes to squatting. And so I haven't ever done this, so I'm not really sure exactly how to warm up for it. I just grabbed the bar and started doing a few reps of conventional deadlift to try and loosen my back, or at least to start. And then I split my stance. So as far as I can tell, you just need your knees to be outside of shoulder width and point your toes diagonally outward. And that should be enough to get you started. I didn't feel any problems with the form I was using. It seemed as if everything was going fine. Obviously, I probably have some mechanical deficiencies or inefficiencies in my motions, but that'll just be fixed through repetition and through time. The more volume I put in, the more my body will be able to adapt. And hopefully soon I'll be able to learn how to do this the way it's meant to be done. I'm just doing it how it feels the best. I'm just trying to do my best with the form. Anyway, so if you haven't done sumo deadlifts before, I would recommend just watching a few YouTube videos before you attempt. Like what I've heard is that or like what at least what it seems logical is that the wider stance takes your center of gravity lower and it shortens your range of motion. All you have to, because your legs are more spread out, you don't have to pull a bar up as high. Your body is already set lower, so it seems as if it makes it easier to lift the weight. Um, but my main focus is the the lateral hip aspect of being able to increase my stance and build strength in a wider with my feet wider. I don't know how to explain that. Like basically having strength in a wider stance. That's my focus. And so I took it easy today. Um, I'm still not back to full training capacity, and I won't be until I find a job that will allow me to pay for all the food I need to eat. And so right now I'm literally just pulling the weight just to feel it, to see how it works. And I'm not going heavy because I know that that'll exhaust my system too fast. I need to get in at least one more training session this week, so I decided that it's best to just keep it light and to get the reps in. One thing that's important to realize though is that if you never train heavy, then you'll never get strong. You might see some muscular development by lifting like medium to lightweight, and that's 100% normal. But really, if you never train anything higher than like 60% of your max, um, maybe even 70 and up, your core and your nervous system will never be able to fully develop and become capable of resisting the higher weights. So even if you do a lower weight for a ton of reps, you crank out 1,000,000 reps, it won't make you that much stronger, but it will make your muscles a little bit more developed, I guess, as you pump more blood into them, as they get more nutrients. Um, you might feel like that your muscles start to burn and all these things. Just remember that that's hypertrophy training, and that's different than what we're trying to do here, which is strength building. Again, I won't stop anyone from doing what they want to do. Everyone's goals are their own. If your goal is aesthetic and your goal is to get hypertrophy and train to have bigger muscles, then I would actually recommend that. Just do medium weight and do it for high reps until you start to feel the burn. And after you feel the burn, just go for like give an extra 10%. Go for an extra few reps, 10 reps or less. Depending on if it's a heavier exercise, go for like five or less more reps. But if it's a light exercise, go for 10, 15 more reps. even after you start to feel the burn. That's the key to hypertrophy. Anyway, so as of right now, let's see, where am I at? Um, I'm feeling good with how my body's developing. I'm still having if you have seen the other video I made earlier, I mentioned how starting out with all this squatting and back and leg work, I started having some hip pain. And it got to a point where it was like really super uncomfortable. One important thing to realize is that your body is very keen to detect weaknesses. And so it will send signals to you, and this is how it works. The body is amazingly adept at sending signals. You just have to learn how to interpret those signals. And so too often when we experience muscle soreness or tightness, we assume something that that there's a muscle that needs to be stretched. We assume that there's like a problem going on, when really the only thing is that your body is signaling for you to increase the volume and to get more blood supply to the muscle. And to the only way to really strengthen a weak muscle is not to stretch it. If you think about it, a muscle is a collection of fibers that contract and that stretch. And in the strongest position, your muscles are at the tightest and the most contracted. Obviously, that can limit your mobility, but the muscles are pliable enough to stretch and then come back to form. And so if you only stretch your muscles, the only thing you're doing is making them weaker. And so if you have a tight or like a sore muscle or a tight muscle, the last thing you want to do is stretch it. What you want to do first is work it through its range of motion. You want to stretch it slightly and then contract it. Stretch and contract. And by that, you'll be able to get the blood into the muscle, and the contraction will make your muscles stronger. And so if you're experiencing hip pain or any kind of pain, it's more of a discomfort really, but it becomes super discomfortable. No, discomfortable, uncomfortable. The thing to realize is that you have not been training your body as well as you should have over several long periods of time. You need to realize that your body is lacking and severely underdeveloped. And so as you start to develop your body and your muscles, certain muscles that have been doing too much will start to relax their hold, and the weaker muscles will have to step in and do their part. And so when you start training and you start training correctly, some muscles will start to scream and will start to cry, and they'll start to cry for attention. All you got to do is just keep working it. Maybe don't go so intensely. You don't want to hurt yourself, but also make sure you never give yourself too much rest. Because if anything, I've noticed that when you rest a lot, especially when something's uncomfortable or something's hurting, you rest a lot, and that makes it so that it takes that much longer for the muscle to develop. You might start to see a decrease in the pain, but that's just because you're less mobile and you're not even using the muscles that are sore or tired. So resting and stretching and all these things, they have their place, but it's only in the case of an injury. That's different than just having some mild discomfort or some hurt or just feeling some pain. All that stuff is normal. We call those growing pains. And so keep that in mind. If you're ever squatting and then later that day you're sitting down in a chair and your lower back hurts, it's not because of anything that's like a major problem. It's just because of your inherent weakness in your system, in your lower back. So what I would recommend is to distinguish the difference between what is hurt and what is an injury. And your brain should know the difference. Your brain will be able to signal to you when you need to stop training, when you need to take it easy and take a step back. When you're hurting, it's a different kind of signaling. It comes in the form of emotional trauma. You'll start to feel as if you want to quit, as if you don't want to do this anymore. There's no reason to do it. There's a little person inside of you, I like to say, that wants to stop you from achieving your goals. And every time you do something that'll make you better, he pokes his head out and starts crying. You have to recognize what's yourself, like your own personal, your little monster inside of you, and what is your body and its natural system of signaling and alerting. So If you're able to distinguish the difference between those two things and you build up the tolerance to be able to handle the discomfort, it'll teach you a lot about life. That's just how life works in general. So don't be discouraged. Keep pushing forward. Just know that when it's time for you to stop and you need to address something that's serious, your body will let you know. You should never assume that your body is trying to work against you. I think that's often too common in like the exercise sense, is that you allow your emotional side to override your natural, like your sensory input. And really, you need to understand your body is a machine that's made for greatness, and anything that your body needs is priority. Anything your little guy on the inside, the emotional part of you wants, is literally the last thing you need to focus on. So anyway, that's been it for today. Another good session. See you guys later.